Alright, so it's 2016 and this iPad came out in 2020. So the real question is this iPad still worth buying here in 2026? Or is it finally outdated? Alright, so I've had this for a while, quite some time. I'm not even sure how long at this point here, but I may be letting it go soon. For something that's Android based, because based on my usage, I prefer to have Android OS run on it, because this is pretty limited in terms of some things that I like to do with my tablet. This has been my daily tablet or iPad, same thing that I've been using for quite some time. So let's talk about it. So if you're planning on getting one of these in 2026, here's what you need to know. So I'm just going to break down everything for you: the performance, the battery, gaming, if you want to use it for school, just really whether or not it's a good choice to buy this iPad here in 2026 and maybe onward. So one of the first things I want to talk about is, of course, the build. But before we even do that, let's just give you a rundown. Pretty much like almost every mainstream iPad now, it's got a 10.9 inch or 11 inch liquid retina display. This one has the A14 Bionic chip. That's the same that's in the iPhone 12, I believe. It's the first iPad Air here too, as well, to have the Type-C port. It has Touch ID on the power button here too, so you can just rest your finger and just boom, Touch ID. It supports Apple Pencil too, and it also does support the Apple Magic keyboards. And one thing I must say here about this iPad, first thing about design is that it is still very modern looking. I got a screen protector on mine here, but you should be able to see exactly how it looks. I got a screen protector on mine here just to keep the screen protected, but in terms of look, of course, it is very modern and it does hold up with all the newer iPads that are out now. It may not have the thinnest bezels like we see on some of the pros here, but like the iPad 11th gen or the 10th gen, the iPad, some of the new iPad Airs too, it's pretty much identical in terms of the looks. So that's one thing it has going for it: the premium look, a premium build quality, because it does feel pretty sturdy. So it's slightly thinner than you'd get on the base iPads like the 10th, 11th gen, and it does have a slightly better screen with better touch support for Apple Pencils, pressure sensitivity, etc. But it is a solid device here. So I've seen a lot of people, they say, hey, after a while your iPad starts to bend, and I'm not sure how that happened for them, because I've had this so long and it has never bent for me. I've never woken up seeing any bends in it or any deformities. I'm not sure exactly what happened. It looks pretty straight to me still. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now that it's out the case, I keep this in a case for the most part, and now that it's actually out the case, I'm not just really taking a look at it. It looks pretty straight to me. Let me just look at this in the viewfinder. Just line it up in that camera line. Boom, it is straight. Yeah, off topic, but but yeah, pretty sturdy, great feeling iPad. I must say, the overall look of the iPad, I do prefer it to every other tablet that's on the market here. I think it's pretty simple. It's for just in your face, like, hey, look, the bezels are pretty much the perfect size too if you want to use a tablet. That's if you play games on your tablets, like I do sometimes. Sometimes when the bezels are too thin on devices, I know, with the exception of phones because they're pretty small, it can be a hindrance sometimes, but this is perfect. On the topic of the screen, liquid retina, beautiful display. Apple does not miss when it comes to displays. They do not miss. Even if they do get some of their displays from other manufacturers, but the ones that they use, even if the resolution is not as high on paper, it is still beautiful, and it is very much comparable to pretty much every other display you can find on a tablet. Except let's not talk about the Pro tablets, the Galaxy S11s and iPad Pros, whatever. But yeah, it's beautiful. It is only a 60 hertz display too, so for those 120 up lovers here, I'm sorry to break it to you, but it is only 60 hertz. It is pretty much perfectly fine for any gaming. It's a very smooth 60. Anything you want to do in terms of visuals, it is perfectly fine. But for those that can feel the difference, as you like to say, bear in mind it is only 60. But when you're watching shows on this, say you're watching something on Netflix, YouTube, anything of that sort, it is lovely. I can't even really put it into words how beautiful it does look, because even when you're just watching your videos, just take newer devices out of the ways. You have your iPad, your tablet, whatever, and you're just laying there and just watching. It's a beautiful screen. And that's all I gotta say in terms of the display. So use it, and you can always see for yourself. One of the most important things I want to talk about though is performance. Alright, so let's say, hey, you're getting this iPad to play some games. Bear in mind, it is the A14 Bionic chip. It's still very powerful, but this chip is about 6 years old at this point. As I said, it's pretty much the same that comes with, it is the same actually, that comes with the iPhone 12. I can still play the games that I play on it. I do play PUBG sometime. I've deleted a lot of the games right now, and that's due to storage, which is something I'm gonna get into pretty soon. But games that I was playing on, it's like Brawlhalla, you can see here, TFT. I had League of Legends Wild Rift, I had PUBG, and I had a few more titles. They all ran great, no problems, none whatsoever. Trust me. Unless you're getting some really intensive stuff, maybe doing a bit of emulation and whatnot, you may have issues. But for pretty much all the games you can find on the App Store, you're good to go. You're still very much good to go. It runs smooth. But if you're gonna game on max settings now, that's where you may have a problem. Bear in mind, this is older hardware, so you gotta be lenient with it. Give it some wiggle room. Just adjust your settings. You're good to go. Where I may also fall short is video editing. Let me just have you take a look at the iPad while I'm talking about it. Such a beautiful device. Is video editing. So, if you're someone that video edits on the go, you use your iPad. Yeah. Again, it's older hardware, so you have to be lenient. It won't be as quick. I'm not saying it's gonna be really slow to the point where you're gonna get annoyed and just wish you never attempted to edit on it, but just bear in mind it may take a while. So that's also something to consider. So anything intensive like that, just please consider that, because that is one of the main things with older hardware. It tend to show its age after some time. But Apple is really good at optimization, and seeing that they later build their hardware for their software, or software for their hardware, it works great for them. So I wouldn't say it's really that future proof to come, but as of right now, it's pretty good. You can even play Genshin Impact on this. Let's talk about the storage next. Storage is, it's 64 gigabytes. And I think pretty much all the Air Force came with 64 gigabytes, which is a hindrance, of course, because in this day and age, app sizes are getting larger and larger, and it's just not cutting it. Even with the updates, the last update I did on this was like 14 gigs, and just imagine it's only 64 gigabytes on this. Not to mention some of the other stuff I may have on there already, like my games, my documents, my photos, etc. So I do often find myself deleting stuff here just to have some space freed up. As I said earlier, like with the video games that I had on here, I had to delete some of them just to get some space on the device here. Storage is a issue. And the next issue that I had is battery life. When I just got this here, it was pretty good. It was lasting hours. I'd leave it I'd say I'd leave it on standby for quite some time, come back, and the battery hardly moved. But as of recently, you know, it probably degraded by now, and you know, it probably wasn't the best battery out there to begin with in terms of the tech for the battery. It's really troublesome right now. I can't remember how much this video started with, but you can probably go back and take a look at it. It's at 29 right now. You see that it's in low power mode. That's something I gotta do often. Keep it in low power mode. Sometimes I even wonder if this makes a difference, because it really feels the same sometimes. The battery drains just as quickly. So battery life is horrible on this right now, and that's one of the main reasons we're getting rid of it. After a few updates and stuff, you know, it's starting to take a toll on battery. I guess I could always change the battery, but sometimes I'd rather not open up a device if I really don't have to. It's not horrible to the point where, you know, it's dead in an hour or two. It still lasts a little while. Let me just see if I can see the screen on time on this here. It doesn't, it's not the best right now. And just look for this real. Alright, so I haven't used as much today here, but as you can see here, screen on time for today was 1 hour 29 minutes here. I've used it, I won't say I used it as much, and I did have it plugged in sometimes. So these reports here, the battery was at 100. I don't have one from 100 to 0, just using it right now, but trust me, you may have to, you know, get a replacement battery. That may be a possibility, so bear that in mind. Also, one thing too with the iPads here, unlike its newer sibling, the iPad Air 5th gen with the M1 processor, you can see battery health on this, like some of the new iPads too as well. So there's no way to really gauge how degraded the battery really is apart from your usage, and you can just, you know, see for yourself that, hey, you know, this is running down pretty quickly or whatnot. So that's that. But in terms of a lot of things that people like to do with their iPads, let's talk about it. Schooling. A lot of people take notes on their iPads. You know, you go to school, you see people with their Apple Pencils, they take notes on it. Word documents, PDF, light multitasking, stuff like that. It's a breeze, no problems whatsoever. The UI is still very snappy. The only thing I noticed with the UI is that sometimes when you go across right here, you see that slight delay. There's a slight hiccup. And sometimes it does take probably half a second longer. Sometimes it's really noticeable, but I guess it's fine. I don't know. Let me just turn it off and turn it back on to see am I using that Touch ID? Alright, I'm not sure if you saw that just now too as well. Alright, let me just do this again. It's not bad now. I'm not sure if it was the last update I did, but it's really not that bad right now. It's making me seem like I'm telling a lie on it. Next thing let's talk about is the cameras. Cameras, they're alright. You know, it's an iPad camera. You can't really expect the best. It's not the iPhone, but it's alright. It's decent. I'd say it's you can see, you know, it's not that sharp in terms of the photos, but if you're taking bright photos outdoors, it works great. They actually come out great. No problem whatsoever. They look pretty crisp. But indoors, it will not be the best, especially in these lower lighting conditions here. Front camera, it's pretty much the same thing. You can see the difference in the selfies too as well, that, you know, it's not the sharpest thing like your cell phone camera, which is way better, but it's still pretty decent. And if you have any Zoom or video conferencing, maybe an interview, you're good to go. Trust me, don't worry about it. So the last thing I want to talk about here is just software updates and the pricing. So right now, in terms of software support, maybe it has a year or two left. I'm not sure, but it's been getting updates here since I've had it. You know, as long as I've had it, it's been getting updates. So knowing Apple, it probably does have software support for 1 or 2 more years here to go, or could be longer. We'll see what they decide to do. But for the price that it's at right now, pretty sure you can get one of these right now for a little over $200, which I'd say for this, it's not bad. it's really not bad. I'd say it's a pretty good deal for what you're getting. A little over $200. If you can, there are ways to check the battery health, of course. I believe you have to probably use iTunes or something like that. So if you can find a seller that has one, wherever you decide to buy it, that shows the battery health, that would be ideal so you can know. Or if you plan on getting replaced at a technician, you know, just get a new battery, boom, you're good to go. So you can, that's something that you can do too as well. So the pricing, I'd say it's pretty worth $200. You get something pretty decent, and it will bring you plenty of joy. See, I got a screen protector on him here. I do also have a case, just took it out for the video, so just keep it protected and keep it clean and looking great for years to come. So here's just how it looks. There are versions of this that have cellular capabilities. You'll see the antenna band on those ones, so that's also something to bear in mind. But in terms of everything else, button still clicky, no issues with charging port, speaker is still firing. Touch ID though, I'd say sometimes it, after the last 2 updates, I'd say it feels slightly slower. I'm not sure if it's just my mind playing games with me, but that's something for me, so please bear that in mind. But yeah guys, thank you very much for listening. This was me with the iPad Air 4 4th gen in 2026. 6 years old, still a great iPad, and it's a great choice if you're just getting into the Apple ecosystem with your iPads, or if you just, this is your standalone Apple device. It's pretty awesome for what it does for the price. So thanks again for watching, and do enjoy the rest of your day.